Hello and welcome to the latest episode of EFT Changes Lives. My name is Mary Jane Sharratt. I am an EFT trainer and practitioner. And today I am really delighted to welcome Michelle Gemmel, who is an EFT practitioner based in Leeds. And today we have a very particular subject that we're going to discuss. And that is around how Michelle used EFT to help her hay fever or seasonal allergy symptoms. Hi, Michelle. Really great to see you.
Hello, lovely to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, a pleasure. So, Michelle, you've told me a little bit about how you've been with hay fever. So, can you start by maybe telling us when it began and what was going on for you then?
Yeah, so basically, I think I was about 8 or 9, and we lived in Staines in a very sort of concrete built up area. We were very happy there. Um, and my dad's, well, he was told he upset somebody at work and he was told that he would have to relocate to Scotland. Now, both my parents are from Scotland
Mhm.
and they don't particularly like it. So none of us really wanted to go up there. We all had a great life down south, but we had to go. So we moved, and where we moved to, it was a lovely place. It had loads of fields and grass, and we weren't used to that because we'd not been around it.
Yeah.
So it was quite a stressful time, and no one was particularly happy. So yes, that's when I first noticed that I started sneezing and um, yeah, just having an itchy nose, that type of thing. And it was just strange and sore throat as well. It was really strange because I'd never experienced that sort of feelings before.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where it started.
Okay. And people tell me it's not something I've really experienced, hay fever, but people tell me that it can be really debilitating. And I think you said it began to get worse over the.
Absolutely. Over the years, it just got worse and worse and worse. And probably from like the age of about 14, I think it reached its peak. And it was, oh God, I mean, I would dread the summer holidays. I'd go out with my friends, and I remember we had a grass fight, and I remember my eyes were red raw. They were streaming. I felt like I couldn't breathe. And honestly, from that point up until very recently, summer is an incredible miserable time for me. I can't sleep. My eyes hurt constantly. I have a sore throat. You feel like you're ill
Yeah.
in the summer. It's like having a permanent cold.
Worst cold ever for months.
But it's constant and there's no relief from it. And I went to the doctor and he said it was probably one of the worst cases he'd ever seen.
Wow.
But because nothing was working for me, there probably wasn't anything that would work for me. I'd literally tried everything and I'd maybe get a bit of relief for a month or two and then it would just stop working. And
Okay.
it was just so it's miserable. If someone who really has chronic hay fever knows just how miserable it was. I think the worst it was when I was pregnant because I couldn't actually take anything. So I
Yeah.
just lie in my room with a cold flannel on my face, door shut. Oh, absolutely miserable.
Miserable time. And you
Yeah.
you were just telling me that where you live now, looking out of your window, you've got trees and grass around you now.
It's so green. You wouldn't believe it. It's literally grass, green, flowers, hedges, every type of like hay fever combination is in my back garden.
Great. And we're
So, yeah.
speaking in June, and you don't seem to have any hay fever symptoms, Michelle. So what
I don't,
happened?
so yeah, so I don't have, so I used EFT. I,
Amazing.
I tapped on EFT to see because I had read, and I'd heard from you that it can actually, you can tap on it and see if it has come from something. So
Yes.
I did tap on it, and
Mhm.
my very first memory was, or when I started tapping, was the move.
Okay. So tell me what you did with the EFT and what came up, what memories came up and what you worked.
Yeah. So I tapped on. I wanted to know sort of where it came from. So I tapped on sort of like the symptoms.
Yeah.
So like feeling like the scratchy throat, the itchy eyes, feeling quite miserable. So I tapped on all that, and the first memory that came up was when we moved and how unsettling that felt. You know,
Mm.
we were all really happy, and then we were sort of navigating because it's really hard for children to move. I don't think parents realize that actually it's a lot for children to deal with.
Yeah, new school, new home, new accent because you were moving from Surrey to Scotland. Yeah,
Exactly. And
lots of new. Yeah.
very, very new. And I was quite a shy child as well. So it's not like I was confident.
Mm.
Um, but you kind of just have to go with it, don't you, when you're a child? Everyone's like, you'll be fine, you'll get on with it. And I think people think children are adaptable, but they also don't like change. So
Yeah.
that was quite, I found that very, very difficult. And it took me a long time to settle.
Mm.
Yeah, it just felt very uncomfortable. And then as I continued tapping, another memory came up, and it was of a baby pony that died in that field behind where we lived. And I remember it was running around, and then it collapsed. And I remember the owner running across the field and holding it and screaming. And that was so traumatic watching it was like a miniature, well, it wasn't a baby, it was a miniature pony, watching a
Mhm.
tiny miniature pony just die. And I was only like 8 or 9.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe
It
your
was
first
traumatic.
experience of seeing anything die,
Just
perhaps.
lying in that field
Yeah, really
with the
true.
grass. And it was very close to when we'd moved as well. So that was very, yeah,
Mm.
it was very, very shocking. And then like as I continued tapping, various other things came up, quite significant events, very traumatic events came up. And interestingly, so this very traumatic event happened probably around the age of 11.
Hmm.
And so by the time I was 14, my hay fever was, and this was so traumatic, I couldn't tell anybody. So I carried this myself. And by the time I was 14, my hay fever was
The word.
like the worst, so extreme. Like my mom and dad were like, like, what are we going to do? I had all the medication, all the eye drops, everything, and nothing, nothing would help. And this went on. I have to say, it probably wasn't as bad as I got older, in the sense that when I say not as bad, it was minimally less.
Yeah,
But yeah, so I definitely realized as I was tapping that this is related to traumatic events,
yeah.
events that have something's triggered this
Hmm.
allergy within me, and I think it's some form of warning, like this is doesn't feel safe,
Yeah, yeah.
so we need to just hide away, protect ourselves, lock ourselves in our room, and just sneeze and whatever. And
Yeah, yeah.
it was very bizarre. And I thought, what I'm doing is this doesn't make it doesn't make sense, but it actually does make sense
Mm.
because I had never had any traumatic events until we moved.
Yeah, yeah. And I think as well about the move, you saying that none of the family wanted to move. And so,
Mm.
yes, it is really hard for a child, but also if your parents didn't want to move, really do that move, you
Yeah.
know that energetic, even if they never discussed it, energetically, the household's going to feel quite tense. Everyone's pretty stressed. Everyone's a bit unhappy. So
Yeah,
that definitely puts your nervous system into that sort of response, doesn't it? Into a stress response. And
absolutely.
and when I think when you're in that place, you're much more likely to then be susceptible to other things happening,
Yeah.
allergies. And that experience of, seeing the pony die and the owner's reaction and all of that, I
Yeah.
mean, that
And
is,
very close to the move as well. So it's like, oh, when it's in this field, this field that we've
yeah,
never seen before.
field
Yeah.
of grass.
Yeah, a field of grass and really tall grass as well. Yeah, so yeah. And I think whenever you do EFT, a memory just naturally appears. It's not something you force, it just appears.
Yes.
And they popped up very clear and very strong for me. And it was almost instant. I was tapping on the symptoms and it was the move.
Yeah.
And I could see the field. I remember looking in the field when we were looking around the house and going, gosh, this is, I've never seen this amount of grass before or
Always grass.
anything like that. Yeah. So And then obviously, and then the next thing was, and they were just popping, and they were all events that were uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
Can I ask, I don't think you want to tell us the detail of the 11-year-old one, which is
No.
absolutely fine. But was that outside? Was there a grass connection with that? Were you in a place where there was grass?
Interestingly, it was a place near allotments.
Ah,
So,
okay.
so there was lots of grass and
Hmm.
very keen gardeners.
Right.
So yeah, there was greenery around
Yeah.
a lot more than yeah,
Yeah.
there was. So
Yeah.
yes, and like when I think about that, I do think about the allotments and the fancy gardens and things like that. So it was definitely related to that
Yeah.
100%.
And outside and greenery, etc.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know this or if it's something you asked yourself when you tapped. So when the pony died, was there a belief you made that day?
Do you know I don't actually.
If nothing comes to mind, don't worry. But it's
Maybe,
interesting that some,
maybe fear like this is, oh God, an uncomfortableness. Yeah,
yeah,
perhaps it feels really uncomfortable.
yeah, it's not
Yeah,
smooth. Yeah,
yeah, no, yeah, fear, uncomfortable. Yeah,
yeah. And I
yeah,
think a lot of people might be watching this thinking, but really, how can an allergy start from strong emotions? But
mm,
I've worked, as you know, I've done a lot of work with people with allergies. And very often they begin an allergy actually at a time when something quite traumatic happens, and the body doesn't know the difference. It knows there's some trauma, it goes into that sort of shock response. And it doesn't know the difference between the apple you're eating, perhaps, and what you're watching on TV, what you're hearing on the news, what you're seeing with your own eyes or hearing with your own
yeah,
ears. The body doesn't know the difference.
yeah,
So it will create a reaction, and it might be to the apple you're eating rather than making the link to what you've heard or seen.
yeah, definitely, and it definitely did that.
Mm.
Everything is related to an outdoor space, or there are vision, or there's been a memory locked with being in an outside area.
Hmm.
Like it's
Yeah.
been very related to that. So yeah, so I think yeah, anything I feel, I'm like, oh, let's
So
go and have a
interesting.
sneeze. Yeah.
So, Michelle, tell me how you are now with your hay fever or seasonal allergy. Is there a
So
bit more still to do?
I think there's probably still more to do, but I would say I am. I wouldn't even say I'm a hay fever sufferer now. I
Wow.
don't take any medication unless it's a really extreme day. When even like, you know, light sufferers are
Yeah.
feeling it. That's when I would take it. So,
Yes.
but I mean, I used to take sometimes one or two tablets a day. I'd have a nasal spray, eye drops. I would have every form of medication.
Yeah.
And I don't take it. Like it's summertime now and I'm not taking anything. So it's definitely improved significantly,
Yeah.
and hopefully it will go away completely one day. I'm
There
always
might be a bit more work to do, but yeah, why not?
yeah, yeah, definitely. I think there's definitely more work to do, but seeing what I was like, I mean, you wouldn't believe it. I
Mm.
don't think I'd be even able to talk to you without being having a tissue and constantly wiping my nose, and just you would know that I was suffering with hay fever. It was very noticeable, and now I can function like an actual
Yeah.
human being in summer, and it's lovely. And I can do stuff, and it's nice. So it's definitely I 100% put it down to the EFT because nothing else has changed.
You tried everything else. That hadn't really done it.
Everything else,
Yeah.
nothing else has worked. So, but the EFT has. So, in my mind,
Yeah.
that's what's fixed it.
So are you working with people with allergies? Is it something you're interested in doing or
I haven't worked with
seasonal
anybody,
allergy?
but I'm absolutely open to working with any allergy
Yeah.
sufferers or seasonal sufferers. I'm very open to that because I know firsthand
Yeah.
how it helped me, and I 100% think it is a thing, and tapping will ease it, if not, I mean, I know this is bold, but get rid of it completely. But even easing it, surely that's worth trying, isn't it?
definitely for, a bit of weird tapping. And it does sound strange, doesn't it? The idea of
Yeah.
tapping. And I think you told me earlier it was your mum who said, "Oh, you still got that hay fever. Why don't you do that tapping thing?"
Yeah,
Thanks,
exactly.
mum. We all need a
Yeah,
mum like that to tell us.
absolutely. So yeah, it's like if you've got nothing to lose, why don't you just try it? If you've been suffering for a long time, give it a go. I think, you know, you've got to, if nothing else is working, try EFT because it's 100% worked for me.
Absolutely. What
Yeah.
would you recommend to someone, maybe not someone who's a practitioner, but just someone who's maybe used a bit of EFT themselves, done it a bit themselves? Would you recommend they draw out a timeline or that they just tap and tune into the feeling and see what memories pop up? What would you suggest to somebody?
I would suggest that they tap on the symptoms first, like,
Yeah.
so what that person's feeling, like if it's the scratchy throat. So I tapped on my physical symptoms first.
Yeah.
What
So
I was
my itchy eyes, my running nose, all
my
of that.
scratchy throat.
Yeah.
And then as I was tapping, I would maybe say to the client, if any memories pop up or
Hmm.
anything pops up in your mind other than what the physical symptoms we're tapping on, please share it with me. And I found as I was tapping on the symptoms, the move popped into my head. So
Mm.
then I wrote the move and
Okay.
continued tapping on the, I shifted it onto the move.
Yeah.
So then shifted onto the move, then the pony came. So
Okay.
it all, and then I tapped on the pony.
Hmm.
Obviously, I did this over a few days. I didn't do
Yeah,
it in
yeah,
one
not all in one go. That's a
session.
lot. Yeah.
Yes, but yeah, so I did it. So, the first two were the move and the pony.
Yeah.
So I tapped on them.
Yeah.
And then, well, I actually got bullied as well. So that was then the next session, the
Hmm.
bullying.
Yeah.
And so that was a session. And then it was the main event.
Yeah.
So as you can see, they were quite,
They're quite close together and sort of you went in sequence.
and they all happened in Scotland as well.
Interesting.
So, so and then I moved to Cumbria at
Hmm.
age sort of, yeah, 13. 13, I moved there. And, but by that point, the hay fever was so horrific.
Hmm.
But yeah, so that's what I tapped on, and that's how I knew it's got to be related to trauma
Hmm. Yeah.
because everything that was coming up was very uncomfortable emotions for me and uncomfortable feelings.
Yeah.
So I knew it's been created by trauma,
Fantastic.
which is
Well,
amazing.
I mean, it's a surprise, and I think many people will find that, quite shocking. But why not? As you say, no one's got anything to lose.
That's
But
it. Just tap on the physical symptoms and see what comes up for
yeah.
them. And it might even be, it might seem like a minor thing, but actually in their life, it might be something that's had quite an impact
Yes,
somewhere in their life. So it's absolutely worth exploring and just
definitely.
just seeing if it does help at all. But yeah,
So
yeah.
being almost free of, of the symptoms now, how does that feel for you?
Amazing, because I love summer. I'm a summer baby. I was born in the summer, so it's great. I can go and have a picnic.
Yes.
I
Brilliant.
can have a picnic and not, stress about it. And I sleep in the summer, which is fantastic. That was something I never. I would be so grumpy because I would just be constantly irritable because I'm
Mm,
always sleeping. I'm not as tired because I would sneezing constantly and not sleeping.
exhausting.
It's exhausting
Yeah.
and just not feeling great for
Yeah.
3 months. In fact, to be honest, it was early because it would always start sort of springtime. So it would
Hmm.
always start very early. So I had months of it. It was relentless.
Wow.
So, and I don't have that now. I don't dread my favorite times of the year, when everything wakes up and I'm having to
Yeah.
hide it away.
With
So
a
yeah, it's
damp
great.
flannel on your face. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been life changing. And I've really noticed it in these last 2 years. And that is when I, you
Mm,
know, became an EFT practitioner or, discovered EFT and wanted to do that. So it's really been
brilliant.
life changing for me. Yeah.
And I'm thinking as well, life changing for your family, for your children, because mum can come out and do stuff with them now, whereas before you'd be like, yeah, I don't think I want to go there. It might be, I don't want to picnic in the field because it'll be too grassy.
Yes.
So now you're doing stuff with them probably that you didn't do before.
Yeah, yeah. And even my friends and like, they've noticed that it's not as bad, like there's been so many changes. And I think my mum, interestingly, she has nasal problems as well. And she's
Okay.
like, oh, it's just a thing that runs in our family. But I
Is
don't
it?
think it is. Yeah, yeah.
I think you need to do a bit of tapping with mum.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, yeah, absolutely. So I do think yeah, it's definitely been impactful on how it's affected my family and my friends because yeah, I'm not grumpy.
That
I'm
makes
a
a
nice,
big difference.
I'm a nice person again.
Michelle, tell us how you're working with people. Are you working, I think you're working face to face. Are you working online as well? Or
Yes, so I have a little clinic here in Leeds. So I do face to face. I mainly do face to face, but I am doing Zoom as well. Which is great because it opens up doors to people that don't live in Leeds. So yeah,
absolutely.
so
And
it's
you're
great.
working with adults, children, also.
Adults and children.
Great. And hay
Um,
fever sufferers.
and hay fever sufferers, yeah, and I cover all areas.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, if you
Brilliant.
would like to,
Yeah. All your
okay.
links will be below the video if anyone needs to get in touch with you. But thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank
And
you for having
yeah,
me.
just, it seems like such a silly thing. And if someone's never had hay fever, they're going to go, well, take a little hit, a little pill. But for you, it was really impacting your life negatively
Oh,
for so long.
yeah, absolutely. For years, for the best part of my life as well. So yeah, I'm glad it's no longer a thing.
Yeah.
It's great to enjoy summer again.
Yeah. So if you know anyone with hay fever who wants to try another route, some weird little tapping sequences to help overcome it, then yeah, anyone who's open-minded enough, let's give it a go. Michelle, thank you so much for joining me today and for being here with us. It's been great speaking to you.
Thank you.